Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Not Content Podcast. My name is Jerome Cuson, and this week we are finishing up Greek month by talking about 2024's The Return, a movie that I gratefully regret watching after 2026, The Odyssey, and I'm sure that we will explain why. As always, leave a 4 or 5 star review on Apple and Spotify to get those algorithms going. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Click the bell icon for notification. Brian, this movie posits what if we took the third act of the Odyssey and basically made it Logan. That's basically like that's how I think about this movie, and I think it is successful in some ways, mostly unsuccessful in a lot of other ways. But this movie is definitely anchored by two very strong performances by Ray Fiennes and Juliette Binoche. I mean, they really carried this thing, and if it wasn't for them, I don't know that I would have been all that enthusiastic about even talking about this movie.
Same, because I had heard about this movie 2 years ago, right after I'd watched the Odyssey TV version, and then I was like, "Is there any more like Odysseus movies?" And then the Nolan thing came up, and about that news coming up. I forgot exactly if it was 2024, but it was around that
I mean,
time.
this
It
basically
had to have
was
been around that time
now.
they announced it, I think, right?
They announced it, and I think this movie either had come out or was very shortly thereafter coming out.
Right, and then so that's what sparked my interest because I think it was on Amazon Prime right when it launched. So I watched it when it came out, and I was kind of impressed at first because I had just seen the Odyssey, so I was like in that mode of like, oh yeah, they got this story down, they got this story beat down. Oh, they did it better this way. But then this other time around, once you watch the Nolan version, it's like, oh, there's a lot of filler in this movie, like a lot of filler. And okay, this is under 2 hours. It's an hour and 45 minutes around, which is fine for a movie like this. It should not be anything longer than that, considering that you're cutting out 2/3 of the Odyssey. But the problem is, on this second time around noticing things, there's a lot of filler shots. And it seems like the actual movie's probably around an hour and 20 minutes. And there's a lot of filler shots that make no sense to the narrative. Like,
I
there's this
mean,
one scene of, I think his name is Antiguous, right? The guy that was the Robert Pattinson role, basically. And in this role,
yeah.
like, you see him for like a 10-second shot of him in his like room, and then it just cuts to him walking to the other suitors. Like, why did we just cut from 10 seconds in his room? Like, just cut to the suitors. Like, there's all these extended shots that are
I
just
mean, this
adding to the
movie is trying to
runtime.
be in our. I hate calling something boring, but this is a very inner slow go, and I think the issue that I have with it is you're trying to tell this story is like if it was like really real, like this is like we're like really going for like more of the okay, this is not meant to be the myth, this is meant to be like what if Odysseus was a real guy and he came back after 20 years and he did all this stuff, right? Like that's how it comes across to me. Like the thing about Christopher Nolan's Odyssey is like it's shot in a lot of ways like a myth, like a superhero movie, which makes sense for what Nolan was going for. And for this, like they're trying to tell a real story. I'm just not sure that like I appreciate the effort and they're like trying to do something new, but I just don't know that it ultimately was going to be successful. Like to me, if you're going to do this grounded version, like you almost have to do like the 8 to 10 run Netflix or like Amazon or Apple TV show, just so you can get maybe a little bit more of a budget and like really tell this story in chapters. And like, okay, so Odysseus is clearly going through a lot of trauma, which also have mixed feelings about. Like, clearly, something like that would be traumatic. But again, we're telling a mythological story. So I don't want to linger in that for 2 hours. Like, that's what it feels like. It's like, even the moment when he shoots the arrow, like, it's supposed to be to me like this exhilarating moment of like, oh, this is Odysseus. This isn't some random dude. This is Odysseus. And then in this movie, it's like, even after the fact, it's like, they never take this movie to the next level, and I think that's ultimately the problem, is that it never really feels like there's the ebbs and flows. It just feels like it's constantly staying at like a 5 or a 6. When that moment happens, when he shoots the arrow, like things need to go from like a 6 to a 10 because of the intensity that's to follow, and it didn't happen.
I would say the TV version had that intensity more so than this one, and I think they were trying
I
to get
agree.
away from that. But I don't know if that was the right move because some of the character, I don't know, like Penelope, her motivations are very different from even the TV movie and the Nolan movie, right? It's almost as if she doesn't want the suitors to die. She's like very sympathetic towards their plight, I guess, which is very strange compared to what Anne Hathaway was saying. Is like burn those motherfuckers up, right? So when it comes down to that, I'm like, like she's too compassionate for these guys. I think that's a mistake. And then at the end, the big twist. I don't want to say it's a big twist, but uh, what's his name? Telemachus. He basically kills the Robert Pattinson character in this one, right?
Right.
Um, and the thing is like his mom didn't want him to do it. Like she was like, "Don't do this, please don't do this," and he does it, and she becomes like totally ashamed of him. And I was like, "No," because the second time around, like the first time around, it's like, okay, I get it. She's like a sympathetic, and she didn't want him to go down this dark path. But then you watch the Nolan version, it's like this dude has to go down that dark path to be a leader. Right? He has to like stand for himself. He has to be willing to like kill people that, are trying to kill him. So in this case, obviously it was not self-defense, but it was justified, I think, because that dude was like really like doing this gaslighting all over the place in this movie. He wasn't raising his voice, but he was very much manipulating the scenes behind everyone. And that's what that character was doing basically in the Odyssey. So you can see the motivation behind him killing him, but then it's not as cathartic because, Juliette Binoche goes, "Why? Why did you do that?" And it kind of ruins the moment because you don't feel the vengeance. And it becomes like this like somber moment, like, oh shit, my son has become a killer and I didn't want him to become a killer kind of thing. But, I think that's the wrong way to do it. Like this has to
I
feel the
mean,
vengeance.
again, I think it fits in with the motif of what the movie's going for. Like, if this were real, like Telemachus would be both traumatized and like once you kill somebody, like there's really no going back from them. And I think I think Nolan kind of does it to an extent better. Like, there's still some of that, but like you still have to tell the story that's on the page or the translation, right? So I think they're still shooting for that. And again, I think Juliette Binoche has so much to work with in terms of like this being real as opposed to like this being like an epic poem. And I think she does a great job given the limitations presented by the script of like you can't be this vengeful person, like you have to be sympathetic. And I mean that's why you cast her, like that's what she does well historically. So I think in terms of like if you're going to cast the Penelope for this movie, like it almost has to be her. It can't be somebody who is like maybe more aggressive is the word I'm going to use, because it's not going to work. It's not going to work if you cast Anne Hathaway as this version of Penelope, because I don't think she could really do this as well. But I think that Ray Fiennes as Odysseus again. I think about this idea of being inert, and like we've seen Ray Fiennes like really go for it in like Schindler's List and even some of the recent 28 movies. Like he knows when to go for it, but he also knows when to dial it down, and he definitely dials it down. And I think it, like in terms of this movie, I almost think of this movie, it's better as like a great acting exercise than as a movie.
Yeah, it's almost as if like this should have been an hour TV special, and I think they would have come off more, and the editing would have been tighter. But alas, obviously they wanted this as like a production. This was like an Italian production, I guess. Well, not Italian production, but Italian director. Obviously shot overseas. They did shoot on location, some green screen you can tell, but
There's a lot
um,
of, but you can tell there's a lot of budget restrictions, and I think that
right. And this
was
was probably
the case.
shot around the COVID era, right? So the performances are going to be kind of like relied upon the most. I think that's what it seemed like with this. You're not going to get a lot of the visual stuff you get with the Nolan. Um, and I think to some of the changes too, it's like they really focused on like everyone, all the dudes being jacked in this movie. And I know Matt Damon is like pretty jacked for his role, but like not every dude was like jacked to the gills. Like every all the males are in this movie. So I thought that was like a really kind of like a choice that they were going for, because I know those who study Greek history and stuff like that, and especially the not architecture, but like the artwork, sculptures and statues, there was this Greek obsession with the male body, right, and the sculpting of the male body, and there was that bro, like that 300 kind of look, right, and they were kind of going for that in
Well, the
this one.
funny thing to me is that like there's been all this criticism by very bad actors, and when I say actors, I'm not saying actual actors. I'm talking about the nut jobs on a certain political from a certain political party. And it's like if you really wanted to make an accurate Odyssey, like the suitors would all like be fucking each other, right? Like it's that's what happened. Like there was a
Because they
lot of
kind of they
original
actually
stuff.
tied they mentioned some of that, or not mentioned, but they kind of show you some of that because Greek culture was very not like, black and white, straight, gay kind of thing. Like, it's very much a mixed thing. Like a lot of, I think the whole culture was bisexual based on what I can remember because it's just very
And
open,
non-monogamous.
non-monogamous. Like, imagine What We Do in the Shadows because I've been binging that lately, catching up. Just imagine that dynamic of like they're all into each other and they'll all fuck each other in like random times, but they'll still like be friendly and cordial with each other and still have like casual relationships outside of the sex.
Oh yeah, it
So
absolutely.
so
I
that's
mean,
kind of the vibe, and you kind of see some of that with some of the suitors who go on like a rape and pillage kind of thing in this movie a little bit, which is kind of like whoa, because you kind of see some of that, but they send like the suitors send out like mercenaries, I guess, in the Nolan version, but some of the suitors kind of do the bad deeds themselves in this one, so you kind of get that
well,
vibe
I
of like
mean, the
you like
difference
these
is
guys.
that in this version, I think a lot of people are scaled older, and in the Nolan version, everybody's scaled younger. So I think
Yeah,
that
and they kind
that
of
also
mix that
makes a
too, because
difference.
like there's this older guy that's like, I'm not the youngest suitor, but I can be a father for your boy. Like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of vibe. Like I can be the older guy in his life. So
I
they
think the
kind of throw in
suitors are
some of that.
intended to be a little bit more sympathetic in this movie compared to, like, Robert Pattinson is like borderline a Bond villain, right? Like he's definitely going for
Right. He's going for
a
that
very
Eric Roberts
sympathetic.
vibe in the TV version, which we kind of forgot to mention when we reviewed it. But Eric
Yeah,
Roberts
he
has that
is.
dickish vibe, and I think he was perfect for that role. So I
And I
think
think
like
that's the way the
Robert
character
Pattinson,
like I
yeah,
think that's the way the character should be. I think it should lean into being more, mustache twirly. I mean, again, I think
because
that
this version is played by, I forget his name, but he's like the bad guy from Shazam. Not Shazam. Was it Shazam? Black Adam. Sorry, I mix those two up all the
Maran
time.
Kanzari.
Yes, the bad guy from Black Adam, but like he's playing it very much so in like a low key, like manipulative kind of vibe. He's not like getting overly aggressive at times. He's very much manipulating people. So that's the vibe
Well,
they're going
so
for,
it's
which is
really
the
funny you say
sympathy
that.
part, I think.
It's really funny you say that because, like, the problem that I have the same problem with him in this movie that I did in Aladdin when he played Jafar. I don't think, like, Jafar is a very bombastic villain, and this actor, like, it just feels like he gets miscast in these villain roles, and he's like trying to play it more subtle and maybe more sympathetic, and it just, I mean, I think it's more of a casting issue than an acting issue. I just don't think those are not the roles that he excels in, clearly. And there's something
Which is
wrong with that, but, like,
yeah.
I don't know why you watch Aladdin, and maybe he didn't. Like, how are you watching that movie and being like, you know what? I am going to cast him to be Antonius. That's what I'm gonna like. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I can see like I don't know. It because the same problem kind of happens in Black Adam, to be honest. So because that role is very much bombastic
Yeah,
and
the movie that was gonna shake up the DC, right?
yeah, right. According to the Rock's PR team. Yeah, so we can kind of see how this guy kind of gets miscast, and that why that scene at the end kind of seems like so like mixed feelings, right? Because you want him to die, but there's a sympathetic approach to him, and he didn't really kill anybody. He was doing the Charles Manson thing, basically telling and manipulating others to do the dirty work for him. So that's the vibe, right? But it doesn't really have that feel of when like Robert Pattinson dies because you really want to see him die, and that's that emotional difference, I think, in this movie. And I noticed too, like the clothing. So I guess there's this different approach, right? In the TV version and this version, they're very much doing the summer clothing where like they're hardly wearing anything because it's hot as fuck, and that's what Greeks were wearing at the time.
I
But
mean,
Nolan
again,
seems to have this idea. Go
well,
ahead.
there's budget constraints. That's the
Budget
thing.
constraints. That's the thing, right? But I think what Nolan's approach is like, yes, these are Greeks. Yes, they hardly wear anything during the summer, but this is also a formal event that they attend every night, right? So they got to wear their formal wear, which is why they're dressed differently in the Nolan version, which I think is like a good change because, yeah, this is supposed to be like this cordial thing. Like you're supposed to be a suitor trying to win over the queen every night. So every night's kind of this social gathering event. So you got to dress your best. So I like the fact that that Nolan changed that in comparison because I really noticed in this movie like they're really dressed down in this movie, like hardly wearing anything at all. But I get the whole Greek thing, but I think they added element of like, yes, this is a formal event, you got to wear your best. Nolan added to that because you can kind of tell Robert Pattinson is very uncomfortable in what he's wearing in the movie because he's always moving the chest thing around. Did you notice that? But I think
Yeah,
that
I
adds
mean,
to
I
it
think
because
that's
he's supposed to be wearing
intentional.
formal wear that he doesn't want to wear because he's used to wearing other shit. So I thought that was a nice detail from Nolan that you really don't catch unless you're paying attention to like other different versions of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the issue that this movie is going to have in perpetuity is that it is not Christopher Nolan's version, and I think it's going to get lost. Like, I mean, I think some people are going to discover this and appreciate for what it is, but I mean, the timing is just really, really unfortunate. Like, it's not an Armageddon and Deep Impact. It's not an Ants Bugs Life situation. But I mean, I think that Christopher Nolan has made the filmed version that will be considered the definitive version of the Odyssey. And I think that is probably what is deserved. But in terms of this movie, I think that what you could take away is like you're getting two really good performances, and you're getting a very interesting portrayal of this poem in terms of like being more subtle and more, inert than something that, the 97 TV version and the 2026 version are certainly not those things. And it is certainly an interesting exercise. Like I said, I think this is much more like watching this more as an exercise instead of a movie, which maybe is not the best way to even watch a movie, but I would have a really hard time like sitting down and rewatching this again, but I didn't necessarily hate it either. So I'm at about a 6 out of 10 with this. This is a very interesting, weird watch, I would say.
So the first time I watched it, I think I gave it a 7 because I was like in that mood and I was like really positive about it. And then the second time around, you start noticing a lot of the flaws and a lot of filler. So this movie has a lot of filler in terms of like random shots that have really nothing to do with the narrative. It's just like, shot of Antigonus in this room for 10 seconds, and then we cut to him walking outside. Why did we need him in the room for 10 seconds? Just cut to him walking outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing here? It's that kind of editing. It's like, okay, so basically, when I was in, I think, like, was it college? We had these film projects, right? And you had to fill up the time for like the project. It has to be 10 minutes or whatever, right? And I remember being short, like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 minutes on the project. And I was just like, oh, filler. We got to fill this in here, add a little scene there. And you can tell that it's filler, but again, I didn't notice it the first time. Second time around, it's clear that this movie is really like an hour and 20 minutes, and it's 20 minutes of like filler, basically, of just shots and just random shots and
I
like
mean,
him staring.
I think we also have to say, like, we're talking about this from an American sensibility, and clearly, again, not what we're really going, like, we are going for something that is very different. We're going for something that is very inert. And I think when you look at the director's other movies, again, I really haven't seen them, but like you read some of the plot descriptions, and it's like you're getting those vibes. Like he's not somebody who is interested in probably like making an action movie. He's going to be somebody who makes something that is makes things that are like this.
For sure. And yeah, I would say the best of the three in terms of like the arrow sequence is definitely the Odyssey 2026, by virtue of the fight
The
choreography
arrow
compared
scene
to
in this
this.
movie is the arrow scene in this movie is actually quite bad. It just
Because
like
it's
I
just
think
him
the
shooting
90.
arrows. It's not. I mean, and then when he does like actually go hand to hand combat, the one thing I did like is that he never gets touched. That's the one thing like Nolan did is like he got him like stabbed 3 times and then teases that he's gonna die and do that heartstring pull on the audience. But in this case, like he went full like God mode and like fucking took nothing and just destroyed everyone. So I was kind of like, okay, at least we got that aspect because that's kind of cool when Odysseus is like laying waste to everybody. It's kind of
But
cool
like
to see him
even
not get
that,
damaged.
but even that's portrayed as like, oh man, like he's
Because
still so
it's almost
dumb.
like what Brock Lesnar in like a Royal Rumble, just destroying everybody kind of feeling, or do you want like, you know what I mean, like Hogan coming in and then getting knocked by a bunch of heels in the corner after like going through a run? You know what I
I
mean?
mean, I think it depends on what the rest of the movie is like, and
Yeah, yeah, it's that too. So, because they're going for this thing about him being like, I don't know, like the vibe is like he was a runaway king and never came back, and that's also the problem too. Is like the
right,
motivations is like we don't know whether or not that like
we don't
he
know
wanted
his
to come
trauma,
back.
right? Like with the
Yeah, that's the thing.
Odyssey,
Is like he's
you
digging
have the
into his head, but
context.
we don't know the trauma, and it's assumed because of what you know about the book. So that's another issue too.
Yeah,
Like
I
if we're
can't
assuming like
imagine. again, that's why I call this an exercise. You can't watch this movie without knowing what's happened because his trauma makes no fucking sense because there's
Right,
no flashbacks. And I'm not
and
saying
then
you shouldn't have
they
flashbacks.
don't mention like the fantasy elements, the monsters, the Cyclops, nothing. It just mentions a lot of like Troy and mostly just Troy. So they kind of skirt around it, and then they'll kind of like drop these bits and pieces of dialogue that kind of like hint at it, kind of like what Troy did with Odysseus's character, right? And then because I've seen a lot of clips on like Instagram and YouTube lately because of like my algorithm and all that kind of thing, and like flashbacks and people comparing. And yeah, it's very much kind of like that. So where they just drop bits and pieces here, hinting at the past history that you assume based on the book. So it's kind of weird that they did that, but obviously when you're doing a movie like this, where you just to show the third act, you run that risk. So it's kind of what the audience member going into is like, okay, are you going to accept this as like grounded, or are you going to accept the fact that he went through all this shit and then everything else is just grounded in the third act? So it's kind of a weird take on it, but yeah, it's definitely an exercise for sure. But yeah, this kind of closes out the Greek month. I'm at a 6 out of 10 now for the second time around. But again, it's Ray Fiennes, and he's jacked to the gills. And I mean, he's not like super bulky, but like he's definitely got the cut. I mean, this dude has like a six pack in this movie, so credit to him for getting into shape. And
And
like
credit
he
to whatever he's doing, which is
whatever he's doing, wink wink. But I'll say this: at least it was cool that all three versions do have the same way that they bend the bow, because there's no other way to do it. Like they historically, like they show you, like because I guess it's a special type of bow where the ends are backward. You have to bend them backwards as opposed to them going to the opposite direction or something, and that's the key and the trick to it. So that you got to put it under your leg for
I mean, but the
leverage,
way Matt
hold
Damon,
it.
I mean, the way that Nolan shoots Damon, I mean,
Well, you
it's
don't
pretty
see
good.
the leg
Like,
part. That's the thing. Is like obviously he's holding it with his leg to get that momentum, but he doesn't really show that. He's really showing Matt Damon's jacked arm just moving. So that's the visual that you're going to remember, is his jacked
yep,
arm moving it.
yep.
So yeah. So that closes out Greek month, and we're moving on to the Scots month for August. Ridley Scott has a new movie coming out based on a book. I'm kind of mixed feelings on it because these post-apocalyptic worlds are kind of hard to fill in when you have very minimal actors. But you know, there's a good cast involved. Josh Brolin. Uh, I forget the guy's name. He was nominated for an
Jacob
Oscar.
Elordi and Margaret Qualley are filling out the
Right.
cast.
And there's the top three, with everyone else is kind of like looking like nobodies. I wouldn't say nobodies, but unknowns. So it's going to be interesting. But it's Ridley Scott. So we've been wanting to do like a Scott's Brother month for a while. So we kind of planned this out. We're going to honor Tony and Ridley Scott, man. So we're going to kind of start in order, I believe. So we're going to, what? You want to do Thelma and Louise?
Yep.
Uh, and then after that, what did you want to go from there? Because I know we want to do The Martian. We want to do,
I mean, I think we
uh,
want to do two Tony Scotts and we want to do two Ridley Scotts. So
yeah.
Thelma and
So
Louise and the Martian. Matt Damon trying to get home again will be the Ridley Scott
yeah, that
version,
the theme. But I
and
also want to
Tony
check out
Scott.
Deja Vu. So I think those are my pick is Deja Vu and Crimson Tide. Is that the other Tony Scott you want to do?
Yeah, we could do that or Top Gun.
Let's do Crimson Tide, because I feel like with Gene Hackman's passing, we didn't really.
Great Gene Hackman performance.
Yeah, and you know, I know people could kind of confuse it with Hunt for Red October, which I did as a kid, but obviously very
They
different
are very
movies.
different movies, and one
And
of them
it's
is
Tony
about
Scott
better.
with like minimal lighting, so you know what I mean. Like he's not dealing with the sunlight and shades; he's dealing with like underground or underwater, dark red lights. So yeah, we're gonna go kind of all over their careers and honor both. But starting next week, we're gonna do Thelma and Louise, but we wanted to honor the brothers. So what the right match is gonna be one of our favorite tag team matches from the era that kind of was kind of lost for a while until like the DVD era, I would say. So it's Rick and Scott Steiner in one of their final WWF tag team performances that was ever televised against Bret and Owen Hart, the Hart brothers. And this is obviously in that short period when they were teaming together before the Royal Rumble. And man, Jerome, I know you've seen this match before, but man, like seeing this
It's
so
a
many
real good
times over
one.
the years, wow, it's like it shouldn't even be in the WWF, to be honest. It's like they got tombstones, they're dropping each other on each other's heads. It's fantastic, and hardly anyone
It's the
knows about it.
only time that you will ever see the Hearts and Steiner wrestle ever. Like Brett never wrestled Scott or Rick ever again, and I don't think Owen
Yeah,
Hart had
I
ever
don't
had
think
any
Owen did
matches.
either. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so this is
it's
a
neat.
very rare thing.
and it's awesome, and they just let them go at it. And this was on, I guess this was on TV because I did some research, and I guess they did air it on like one of the challenges or something like that after the Snyder's left. But this was definitely on the Coliseum home video, whatever one I
This
found.
is a Coliseum exclusive, and it's one of the more well known matches from that era for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and it's the brotherly love thing. So brothers against brothers. So we got to honor the Scott brothers. So you got a Scott Steiner in there. It all makes sense, folks. So we're gonna have fun during the month of August, honoring Tony and Ridley Scott, as well as honoring this great match that I think a lot of people overlook.
Absolutely. So for Brian, I'm Jerome. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you again next week.